Hello everybody, this is Purge, bringing you guys first person replay commentary. Going to be doing a Weaver game today. Let's start things off with the Dota buff stats, looking at the hero. I play Weaver occasionally. I kind of like him as a carry. He's about middle of the pack here for popularity, 52% or 52nd popularity. So win rate's okay, about 50%. He's in an okay place, occasionally, mostly rarely picked for pro games. He is mostly played in the offlane and pubs at least, but his win rates are pretty consistent across. Safe lane a little higher, and I agree with that. I think he's not really the best offlane hero. Skill build is slightly wrong popularity-wise. I think the third level, or the fourth level here should go to the Swarm. As an ability, it's an ability that scales really well, or doesn't scale very well, but it's very good with one skill point, which is kind of where the ability needs to be. If you have to put a lot of skill points in your skills, you're kind of in a bad place for Weaver. And for most used items, it's pretty much good. Power Treads is pretty much a must-have. Desolator is the ideal damage item for him especially because it's been buffed recently. It's cheaper. Lincoln Sphere is very good. If you can get it, Ring of Aquila is great as well. But most of the reason that these win percentages are low is because if you do have these items, you probably lost your game. If you're like 6 slot and you have things like Heart of Tresk and Daedalus and Monkey King Bar, your win rates are going to be really high anyway. So I don't think you should look too far into that. Heroes he's good against heroes that are weak to physical damage, such as Lifestealer. Pretty good at basically high HP heroes, low armor heroes preferably, and that is Lifestealer, Undying, Purge for other reasons because you can time-lapse after you take damage. I don't understand. The win rate is apparently not good for Zombie Knight, but Dota Buff is telling us that it is. That's a little peculiar, but I don't says there's an advantage, and apparently it has something to do with Weaver. I think that's because Omni Knight just has a really high win rate, if I'm not mistaken. Visage, Terrorblade, Pugna. Basically, none of these, very few of these heroes even have stuns as well, as the other thing to point out. Now he's bad against heroes that have burst damage. Things like Faceless Void, Bloodseeker, Silences are big. Burst damage here. True Sight, so you can see Invis. Ricky can Smoke Cloud you and burst damage you from the back. Bounty Hunter can track you. Axe has long duration disables and some burst damage. And Mirana has a lot of nuke damage and can generally leap out of danger. So yeah, all these heroes are basically good against Weaver. And the amount that I play him, I played him a day ago, and I have a kind of low win rate on the hero, and I played 28 games. This is about middle of the pack if you look at the scroll bar on the right. So that is basically my experiences with Weaver, and we can hop into the game now. So this is an unranked game that I played yesterday. This is the first game of the day that I played yesterday before I played the Visage game. And I got a lot of tweets asking for Weaver games, so I thought let's make a Weaver game. By the way, if you guys have heroes that you'd want me to play, let me know. I think I'd like to focus a lot on replay commentaries this week because I haven't made very many recently, and maybe I'll do a pubcast. So if you guys have replays that you want to send to me, just tweet them at me, and I'd be happy to take a look at them or try those heroes or do those heroes for you guys, make a video about it so you can learn a bit about it. So I asked to do a dual offlane because as I was sitting there thinking about, well, first of all, we've got a Phantom Lance already, so I don't really want to take the safe lane, but I felt like dual offlane is maybe the place to put Weaver, because I feel like it's either that or safe lane. I don't really like him in mid lane because you don't have as much room to chase, basically. You can't move past the creep wave, you can't chase your opponent down over a long distance, which is basically where Weaver becomes useful.
Stands ready.
So I said I want to dual offlane. I wanted like Dazzle or Dazzle or Omni Knight is pretty good. Basically some heals that allow you to go farther with your HP. The reason you want this is because your base stats are terrible. If you look at my base stats, my agility, which is my primary stat, is actually the lowest of all my stats. It does grow faster than my other stats, but this basically means that, okay, this is bugged. I should have a ring of protection here. You don't see it, but I do have more armor. But without the ring of protection, you have 0 armor, or without the stats as well. So I'm sitting on about 4 armor right now, which is okay. But considering I started at 0 and I got a ring of protection, it makes Weaver really weak. And the reason they have to do this is because Sakuchi, your second skill is so overpowered, it makes you invisible. It does damage as you pass through. It makes you immune to slows while it's up. It's just a very good ability for trading hits with your opponents and chasing them down and kiting, essentially. So to compensate for that, Weaver has to have bad stats. And because of that, he's kind of bad in 1v1 matchups. Basically, he's not very good. You kind of want to just passively farm with him. And other than 1v1 matchups, he's also really bad at trading with your opponents. You're not really going to get a lot of opportunities where you're going to be trading equally with your opponents. It's, in almost all cases, you're losing advantage there.
The battle begins.
Luckily for us, we're able to get a bounty in. And Undyne was not really what I expected when I wanted a dual offlane. I wanted something range support, ideally, that could buff me or keep my HP up or something like that. Witch Doctor would have been fine. Dazzle, Omniat would have been good because as you're invisible, you're passing through people, you can heal and get damage that way. And then my crappy stats can be made up for, basically. I'm not really the kind of hero that you pair with an Undyne. You usually pair like a stun with an Undyne or a hero that can be more aggressive. I did a dual lane Dazzle with Undyne in a pub match earlier today, and it went really, really well. Something like that is also better. So we're versus a anti-mage with a Warlock. And this is a little tough because basically this is essentially an old babysit lane. The Warlock can heal the anti-mage if he gets low. Neither the anti-mage can blink away if he's in trouble, but basically there's not really a lot of cases where I feel like in a perfect position to basically harass my opponents. I can harass the anti-mage, but every time I get hit, I take a lot of damage because my armor is low, my HP is pretty low, and essentially the Undyne and me have no synergy, which is a little frustrating. So this is what you should be doing generally, and that's you should be using Sakuchi to pass through your opponents as you go for last hits. I did a ton of damage to the Warlock here, which felt pretty good. And at this point, I felt like we were doing decent in our lane. I was fairly happy. Always get Geminate a level 2 in almost all cases because it's basically a crit every 6 seconds. You attack twice instead of once. And then the fast Basilius pickup, very important because Undyne needs mana and I also need mana. So when Geminate is up, I definitely want to attack my opponent if possible. One mistake that I made was a lot of times I let the anti-mage drain my mana, and I think I maybe shouldn't have done that, because I ended up running out of mana pretty faster in the lane, because he does end up draining a lot of my mana pool, and Basilius is really not that much mana either, so allowing him to drain that is a bit of a mistake, and this is basically the mistake that I made. Right there, he hits me once, and all of a sudden I'm completely out of mana. He hit me about 3 times or something like that, but if I was able to utilize my mana a bit farther, then I would have been able to pressure harder, and now because I'm completely out of mana, I put myself in a really shit position, which essentially lost me a huge amount of advantage in my lane. So that was pretty bad, I think. And then, to make matters worse, I also let the Warlock hit me there, which had a Clarity Potion that could have been like 4 Sakuchis or something like that. I'm also out of Tangos, so Warlock, Weaver can be aggressive in his dual lane, but the anti-mage kind of counters me, and by kind of I mean he does counter me. He counters me as a core. He's not really the core that I want to be matched up against at all. I would rather be up against somebody that couldn't escape very easily, preferably had low armor, but that you can't always expect that out of a carry. Basically just not a good position for me as a farming hero. I've only got 9 CS versus the anti-mage is 9, so I guess we're trading evenly. He's got less than he would expect normally, but definitely not the best place to be in. Occasionally you can right click him though, which is always good. I've got an okay mana pool right now. I'd like to use Sakuchi for harassing heroes if possible. And I opted to use Sakuchi here to pass through. It's very smart of the anti-mage to blink directly on me. I think that was the right thing to do. I tried to salve through this, and I got a lot of my salve up, but eventually something broke it. I think I took a bit too much damage, and then ended up breaking myself completely. So that was a really big loss for me here, because I needed my HP to be full, and now I'm sitting at a really low point and can't very safely last it even. So this is really unfortunate, honestly. But it's entirely my fault. A little bit of harass coming on anti-mage again. But again, he's got heal that I don't have I don't have the regen, you know? So it makes it even harder to lane because I have run out of... I made a regen mistake and I made a mana mistake. I let the anti-mage hit me too much. When really I shouldn't have ever traded with him unless I was like going all in for a kill, basically. So this pretty much sucks, but I'm going to be getting a bottle here, and what the bottle is going to do is gives me some burst mana. It's a really good way to deal with the anti-mage in my opinion. Running that out to me at 4 minutes. Unfortunately, we don't have a flying courier yet, but I've got plenty of mana at this point, so it's not the worst. Taking a hit from a Warlock is obviously a bad thing, but throwing a little bit of a double hit in occasionally is really nice. Basically, it's pretty good as well, just because it gives you 6 damage. And again, that's you're critting basically every time you hit, so unfortunately I let him hit me there once. I didn't actually think he was going to get me. Ooh, I actually let him hit me there, and I really shouldn't have. unfortunately, I'm pretty much out of everything. I maybe should have hit him there, because this was my only chance of getting a kill. Eventually, he's going to get the blink. So I think that, and I should have bought a TP as well. But I felt like that was the moment to go on him. But the mistake that I made was I basically went to do a trade against a guy that has a poor man's shield, higher base armor than me, better attack speed, better stats. Just a mistake to go for that. Plus, he also had the heal from the Warlock. That was just overly dangerous to do as a Weaver. And this is kind of the point where I realized I was like, you know, Weaver's really not as good early game as I kind of thought he was. Because I haven't played Weaver that much recently, but a long time ago I used to really appreciate the hero. And I used to think that he could kind of get away with offlane. But you can't really. I feel like it's just not good. If I had a dual lane that synergized with me more, like if I had a Warlock on my team or something like that, instead of an Undying, maybe we could have gone for kills and been successful. But they had a better dual lane versus what we were dealing with. And to make matters worse, like I just didn't play that lane quite as good as I could have, I think. So basically my fault. He's got a poor man's shield, he's got a ring of health, he's got a quelling blade, so he's a lot more regen than me. But the bottle will go a long way towards harassing him, I think. One hit in exchange for Sakuchi is really not that bad, I don't think. I wasn't too concerned about losing that mana. One of the downsides is I do have to be pretty careful to be overly harassed here. Wouldn't be surprised if he blinked at me aggressively because I did use Sakuchi. Yeah, and there it is. Bit of a mistake to use Swarm. The Swarm? Is that what it's called? The Swarm. Yeah, I don't know if I should use the Swarm there. I think that was a bit of a mistake. He does give me the heal though, and I end up going a little bit aggressive. My mana's pretty low, and my cooldown is pretty long. And now I've pretty much just wasted everything that I had left. I'm trying to be aggressive here and push some advantage, but the problem is that I think I lost my opportunity by making those two mistakes. One of which was breaking myself, and the other which was letting Anti-Mage hit me a few too many times before, and ended up losing all my mana out of that. So I think that was the big disadvantages that I had there. Don't have a bottle for any rune possibility for another 50 seconds. We're still kind of harassing the Anti-Mage, so it's not like he has a free lane at least, but it's not looking very good.
Denied.
So pick up the wand, just a bit of cheap stats, and it's kind of what you want in the early game when you're playing Weaver. Just want as many stats as you can get. Like I said, to make up for the overall low. I think his aggressive blink like that was quite good. Just any hit to drain my mana is going to be very useful. But I was able to use the Sakuchi to position better for the runes, so I think it was okay that happened, not a big deal. Any rune that I get here is good. I was thinking about ganking mid. It is a Sven here, but the creep wave is pretty under tower, and I thought that I could instead just go top and maybe go for a kill. Maybe I should have pressured after the Nature's Prophet as well. I could have gone for that. Not quite sure. I think that might have been a good idea. Actually, if you look at Anti-Mage's build here, I didn't know this at the time, but he actually went for a max mana drain build, which I think was very smart to do. Getting bugs on both. This should be a pretty easy kill on the Warlock, which we do end up getting that kill. So I actually could have killed him there, but I messed up. I didn't think about wand. I was getting hit by creeps. So I thought that that I wouldn't be able to Sakuchi and get the kill, but I really could have. At this point, I kind of overstayed a little bit. I ran into the creeps there because I wanted to stop their attack. That way, if I bottled, I wouldn't get interrupted. That way, I could get the bottle off. And I was able to get the bottle charge off. It's kind of a scary moment for me here. Trying to attack me again. This is really greedy of me. I thought for sure that I was dead here when I attacked there. I definitely shouldn't have. But we get a kill out of it. I think we killed the Warlock, we killed the Nature's Prophet. I'm in an okay place. And then all of a sudden the Sprout comes and Stun ends up getting the kill. So ended up bad. Yeah, that was bad. I should have killed the Anti-Mage. If I would have wanded, his blink cooldown is really high at level 1. So I should have wanded, Sakuchi, got the kill there, and then maybe died to the tower. I think it would have been worth it. Even if I didn't die to the tower, or even if I did die to the tower, I think it would have been alright, honestly. So, moderate mistake there. I don't think I bought on either, so that was also a big mistake. But I kind of wanted to fight here, or at least I thought there was a chance that we could clean up, so I TP'd to the lane. Just a little bit of Sakuchi harass here. And by that I mean it basically did none.
Dire's
Basically not the
bottom
best
tower
start to
is
my
under
game.
attack.
I've only got about 20 CS at 10 minutes. The anti-mage has like twice that, so I think our aggressive dueling was not successful at all. I think that was partially because of the way that I played and also partially because of the hero synergy. Anti-mage actually counters both Undying and Weaver. Against Undying, he just drains your mana and then you can't really do aggressive things that Undying needs to do. And against Weaver, same thing. Drains my mana, prevents me from having as many Sakuchis. So I think he just played that. I think the anti-mage is honestly a very good player and he played the lane very well. So max Sakuchi by level 7 is pretty much what you always do. On the bright side, I should be able to get some farm as a solo Weaver here. And I am going to push the lane as much as I can because it is going to help our team have some pressure on the map. Because they actually are out farming us since they have a Nature's Prophet jungling. NP's been jungling really hard this entire time. I think we have, our only support is really Tusk, and we have a mid Bat Rider, I believe, who needs to get active pretty soon for us to be able to get any advantage in this game. And now that I have about 900 gold, what I'm going to go for immediately is treads, because I need to have as much mana as possible. The other way to do that is maybe to get stat points from things like Wraithband or Drum of Endurance and stuff like that. But I felt like treads was going to be better off as the first pickup here, just because I could build it. I could utilize it in many different ways, whether that's right-clicking or farming or whatever. Him getting one hit on me like that is completely fine, honestly. I Sakuchi'd for that because I wanted to get one more creep. I TP'd before I looked here, and I should have probably looked first. That was a big mistake not to pass through Sakuchi damage here. Because if I would have passed the Sakuchi damage, he would have died. That was actually a huge fucking mistake. I had a little bit of map or control, camera control problems there, and that's what lost me that kill. If I would have passed through him there, then I would have gotten that kill 100%, because that would have been an extra 150 magic damage. So that's a huge loss. And I also TP'd the bot lane. I could have stayed top, zoning out the anti-mage, pushing the lane. That was just an absolute travesty. You can't make mistakes like that, especially if you're playing a carry. If you have a kill that you could potentially get, and Weaver is essentially a carry. If you have a kill you could potentially get and you whiff it, then you've lost out big time. So we're looking to get a kill mid here. I believe we had the Blink Dagger on Bat, so I'm watching the map here, and then I'm also going to Sakuchi in position. Don't run through the creeps because it'll reveal that you're there, and then pop the Illusion Rune out last second, and it should be a pretty easy carry. So that was good, we got that kill. I popped the Illusion Rune, that gives me my Wraithband, which means that every time I Geminate now, I'm going to do an extra 18 damage, because Wraithband does 9. So 9 damage from the Wraithband, that makes a Ring of Aquila. Ring of Aquila, in my opinion, is one of the best items you can have on Weaver, just because it does give you so much bonus damage. And at this point it's worth pressuring. There's nobody really in the lane. I'm fairly survivable. If I do get in some trouble, I can always just Sakuchi away. And again, bottle to keep my HP up. So from here, what I basically started doing was getting stat points, and I think this is okay to do if you're in offlane, because I'm a little underfarmed basically, or at least I don't have as much farm as a carry does, so I have to be worried about my survivability. So I opted for that. By going stats, you can kind of leave the Swarm, like I said in the beginning. The Swarm is very good at one skill point. Geminate is much better as it gets lower levels, but it's still pretty good at level 1, so it's okay to leave it where it is. I kind of wanted to gank the Nature's Prophet here, but it seemed like they kind of reacted to us, and as we saw from the replay, they did actually put an Observer Ward down. I kind of wanted to chase after him, basically. If you look at his items, he actually doesn't have dust or anything like that, so I probably should have ran after him, honestly, because then being able to react to it is low chance. Like, they could sprout me and then maybe follow up with other spells, but I should be pressuring him like that. He actually moved forward because of the rune, and I wasn't looking at that either, which is another mistake I made. We actually all just smoked right under a ward. I don't know if we realized that or not, but I waited to grab this until last second, that way he wouldn't realize that he was running into a trap. That was pretty clear kill at that point. Great Walrus Punch there guarantees us a double. No ult from him, and there we go. So we got 3 kills out of that rune. Really big mistake for them to chase out there and think that they could take the fight after he was already dead. So that was just bad play from them. Really well-timed Prophet ulti, lowers everybody's HP by 1 billion, not to mention the Fatal Bonds. And I lost my bottle charge there due to the Fatal Bonds again. That was pretty unfortunate. Probably should have time-lapsed just to keep my HP up, because it would have been better to probably push here. This is a little interesting. I tried to see if this is going to work, by the way. I guess I forgot about the whole, it sets your HP back to where it was, but I basically traded my time-lapse and a TP for about 400 HP and a full bottle, which I think was okay. I'd never done it before. I didn't know exactly how much HP I was going to get out of it, but probably wasn't completely worth it.
Radiant's bottom tower has been
Ultimately, I could have instead maybe set up for a kill somewhere else. That might have been a better decision to make. I ended up getting a little bit of farm out of this, which is cool, but I don't really think it was that worth it to do that trick. I also wasted my Geminate there. One hit was going to kill that range creep. I could instead use it on the big creep instead. So, like, as you look at it, I like, essentially, I don't know, I got 2 camps out of that. I feel like I could have been more efficient with my time and my money. I'm going to be able to get a regen rune top, which is nice, but I don't know. I didn't feel that strong with my play there a moment ago. Anti-mage sitting on top. At this point, I was like, I'll get a diffusal blade. I can use it. I can blow up the Inferno rocks. I saw Slasher do that build one time, and it seems kind of cool in theory. The downside is that it just doesn't do any damage. Desolator is far better as an option. Just really not worth opting for that. And instead, now I'm opting to go top lane, farm their jungle, and gank anybody that comes to farm the top lane. Again, your gank potential isn't that strong as a Weaver, but it's okay. Everybody just got cleaned up here, so I opted not to go there. I also didn't have a TP. The other reason I didn't show up. And then it looks like
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
my heart was pumping during that one. Holy crap. I was going crazy. I was like, oh my god, he's going to outplay me. Because I recognize that he's a good player, so there's a good chance that he would be able to get me there. But I wanded right before his mana void hit, which is a bit lucky considering the circumstances, and that allowed me to time-lapse, so I ended up surviving. He wastes his ulti, and I fly out my drum, which I bought because I was like, you know what, I feel like I just need to increase my overall stat level, because if I do that, we're going to win this game. He blinked to the right because he was anticipating the anti-mage retreating all the way, but he actually stayed in the lane. I spotted out the courier, so I wanted to kill the courier. Pretty easy as a Weaver to get in position, and unfortunately this lowered our chances of killing the anti-mage. Anticipated him blinking to the right. I have no idea what... Oh, he canceled his TP because he blinked into Firefly and he realized that he was very likely going to die to that. So we got kind of lucky there, but I pick up my drum. I've got treads, I've got Aquila, I've got a wand. At this point I kind of realized, like, I bought too many low-cost items. You can't really get Aquila and wand and drum and treads, because that's 4 items, right? And a bottle. If I didn't have the bottle, it would be okay, but because I also had a bottle, I bought all these expensive items that I just simply couldn't keep up with. It's hard to say. I needed regen in the early game, so I needed the bottle. I definitely needed the wand for survivability. I definitely needed the Aquila. I think the mistake was buying the drum. Because at this point, I'm out of item slots, or I sell my bottle kind of early. And I still don't really have any kind of regen options, basically. I mean, I'm able to get the tower top, which is cool and all, but I think at this point, I guess the solution is just selling the bottle, because I still kind of feel like drum was the right choice, but it forces me to sell the bottle. I don't know. So sell my Ironwood branch here, get a TP. This will allow me to fight. But I feel pretty good here. My farm is decent. My net worth is probably okay. It's alright for an offlane. Gonna grab a hero here. Just quickly burst him down. I have no idea. He looked AFK or something. I honestly have no idea. At this point, we're looking for a Prophet TPing. See if he's TPing in to kill somebody, because if so, I want to be there to fight him. But instead, Prophet's on the bot lane pushing. Got a rune in about 30 seconds. And now when I was kind of poking around thinking about what I wanted to buy, in reality all I need to buy is a Desolator. And I did eventually buy one. But there's no real reason going for those other item builds. Maybe if you're dealing with somebody that's silencing you a lot, you can opt for the Diffusal Blade instead. That kind of works, but as a whole I don't think it's the solution. Feel free to use bugs on the other neutrals. And also Sakuchi occasionally, just for the damage, it's worth it to use it while you're farming. Essentially half of a regular nuke. It's pretty solid. If somebody shows up bottom, I will definitely hasten kill them, but it's unlikely they will, so back to farming basically. My net worth is still pretty good. I'm kind of close to anti-mage just because I have been fighting a lot. And at this point, I felt comfortable enough with the amount of HP I had, so I said, okay, my HP is okay. What I should probably start doing is grabbing more of the Geminate levels, since my damage pretty soon is going to be really important. I actually can't see anti-mage on the map. Again, replay bug. Some stuff going on mid, but unfortunately my HP is really low. I accidentally time-lapsed as well. That was a huge mistake. We ended up cleaning up really hard though, so that was good. And that was actually really nice. The Swarm actually does hit ancient units now, so it hits things like Warlock Golems and stuff like that. So it's able to do a lot of damage there, just by auto attacking the Golem. Reduces armor by a bit. But yeah, level 14, my Geminate's maxed out. My HP's okay. I bought my Desolator. I've got 7 kills. I'm like, alright, game recovered. I could have done the laning stage far far better, but luckily they threw a lot in the mid game team fights, so with out of position and bad play and stuff like that. So everything's looking really good for us at this point. There's a Necro purchase by the Nature's Prophet, which is pretty smart because it's going to allow them to see me no matter where I'm standing. But now that I have Desolator, I feel very comfortable in killing people. Again, I don't have a TP, which is a bit of an issue. I've been doing this a little bit more often, being like, whatever, I'd rather have my Ring of Aquila or my wand than have a TP in a lot of cases. But it was a bit of an issue this game, and I think I really just should have sold my bottle, honestly. Just should have sold my bottle almost immediately after getting the Drum of Endurance. Surely by the time that I have my Desolator here, it was time to sell my bottle. Just simply, wow, that creep camp respawned. I think I was looking at the Prophet though, and I thought that I kind of wanted to go try to kill him. A little scary because my HP's low, but if he doesn't have a Dagon or an Orchid or something like that, I have a decent chance of being able to outplay him. And because he ran to the side shop, I thought there was a really high chance that he was actually just leaving. Unfortunately for me, they were able to grab their rune over me. But look how much damage I do to the anti-mage here. Like 3 hits and I do about 60% of his total HP. Chasing him not really likely to produce anything either, so it's better if I just go to farm. So maybe I wasted some time here, but I almost surely sent anti-mage back to base. Or at the very least, he had to be very careful with his farm speed. Could have been worse. Again, Sakuchiing through for damage, just trying to farm as fast as I can to keep my net worth up. At this point, I'm far ahead of anti-mage. And I was just kind of looking at the scaling of the Swarm here. What basically changes is how fast the bugs attack. Every time they attack, they lower armor, so if they attack faster, they lower armor faster. And they do damage faster as well, so it's kind of worth it to skill it up. It used to not be very worth it, or it used to be better worth it, but now it's less worth it to skill it up, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't still level it up. Reduces armor by 1. Basically turns into a Dazzle Weave at level 4. That's pretty good, right? Pretty darn good. So, and the important part is it gives you vision of your opponents, you know where they're going, all that good stuff. Here, I should have sold my bottle, bought a TP, and TP'd the mid lane completely. I mean, they end up killing the Gyrocopter without me, but again, still holding on to the bottle, and it's completely not worth it. Had to drop something.
Roshan has fallen to the
Anti-Mage was able to solo Roshan here, which is definitely not good for us. They probably did it by doing Treants with a Vlad's on Anti-Mage, and then they kept those alive, basically. So letting him take Roche like that was not very good, but you know, actually against an anti-mage there's not that much you can do about it, because he can just blink in from darkness. Maybe if we warded up above Roshan, we would have been in a good spot, but they were doing a very good job split pushing us, essentially. We were able to take the mid tower though, which is good. Here's another reason I have a TP, because then you can TP and defend the tier 2 tower, which I'm instead going to have to walk to. So I Sakuchi to run down there, but I think I end up being late if I'm not mistaken.
Radiant structures are fortified.
So they are able to get that kill. I think we're looking for the anti-mage here. I thought for sure he blinked up there, but I was completely wrong. We ended up killing him anyway, so... And that was the Aegis. That would have been him dying, you know? Pretty significant. So I end up Sakuchiing to the right, because I figured that's the way he'll go. I probably should have just committed hard and gone that way. I should have also drummed here. Bit of a mistake. Right here is where I should have drummed at least. So if we would have drummed here, I don't know if I missed there either. Might have been able to kill. But if I would have drummed, I would have gone there slightly faster, and my team would have gone there slightly faster. Who knows? Could have actually killed the anti-mage instead of just burning the Aegis. My CS is relatively high, not amazing, but okay. Oh, he needed the runes, so I let him have it. And instead went to go push top.
Radiant's top tower
Fortunately,
is
that
under
ends up
attack.
getting killed. Prophet did a very, very good job
Radiant's
pushing
top
this game.
tower has fallen.
So I think you kind of see how to play Weaver at this point. You go invisible, you right-click people, you Sakuchi through, you get better positioning while you're Sakuchiing through, and then you continue right-clicking them. The one thing I haven't done very well this game is use time-lapse, which is my ultimate. The way that it works is it sets your HP and your mana pool and your cooldowns back to how they were 5 seconds ago, I believe. No effect on cooldown, I'm sorry, not your cooldown. So basically, if you take a ton of damage in a short period of time, you cast time-lapse and your HP goes back up to full. So to kill a Weaver, you basically need stuns. To stop his movement and as well as his reset his HP. Chasing after the anti-mage here, but I made a mistake in showing. I let him know that I was in the area, so that was pretty silly. And this one I definitely showed that I was here. And with him looking at me, I should be a little worried. If it's a good player and they're baiting you out like that, I don't think it's very safe to stick around. But with the Tusk in the area, I thought it was okay to continue farming, because in some ways it's our trap. And they might undervalue how many heroes we have, so instead I went to last hit. So at this point I was still kind of thinking about getting the Diffusal Blade, because this does stack with Desolator now. So we ended up getting the Prophet there. Took quite a while to kill the Inferno, but we did eventually get him. Some stuff going on in the jungle as well that I probably should have reacted faster to. Was able to get there for experience and gold on that one. But anti-mage is still not quite dead, which is a bit problematic. And he actually went to go push mid. I probably should have at least checked his HP, see what it was at. Instead what I did is I was like, oh, we're pushing top. I'm just going to take this camp to be a little bit more efficient, take the camp, and then continue pushing. I thought that would all be fine, but instead what happens is anti-mage ends up going for mid tower. I'm not there to contest it. They actually still end up getting gold out of this fight, but I thought, okay, we're ahead, we're winning team fights, we're going to take a Rax, it's going to be all cool, but in reality, I'm giving them inches, basically. We're getting more, but we're getting only 60% more, I feel. And probably we should be getting more than 60% at this point. Also could have time-lapse there, still didn't. Fiddle Bonds just did. Look, the Anti-Mage got 2 towers just now. If I instead would have gone mid and would have just auto-attacked Anti-Mage and don't let him push, that's 2 towers, and now he's sitting our tier 3. Like, and I still don't have a TP scroll, you know? But we do get a Rex, so that's cool. Desolator helping a lot with that one. That was really, really dangerous. Luckily for me, he did not have vision of me. Prophet gets our mid tower. There's a little bit of a fade time on Sakuchi, so you have to be pretty careful. At this point, I was pretty much dead. Surprisingly, the walk next to him strategy ended up working there. And I was trying to figure out what to buy for items, and I felt like the issue was being able to catch anti-mage, so instead of going Diffusal, I opted to get a Sheep Stick instead. It also guarantees that if he drains my mana, that it'll still be relatively full. Not that I need to worry about that, because once time lapse hits 16, you actually don't need that much mana pool. Or you don't need any mana pool, because it costs 0 mana. So it kind of, hitting 16 basically protects me against the anti-mage. But in other games, if you're not 16 and you're a carry versus an AM, you might need a BKB to become Magic Immune, because then you can't get drained. Or you might need something else like Magic Immunity, Evasion would kind of work, or some kind of way to get mana, which is basically what I did here with the Sheep Stick. I thought it would be very useful against split push as well. Very good against Gyro because if you hex him before he BKBs and you're in a good spot. I thought this will be kind of cool. It gives you 10 stats as well, so 10 damage, 10 attack speed, a little bit of HP, lots of mana regen. I was like, alright, I think this is the option. In reality, I think I probably should have just gone Daedalus, really. Daedalus or Monkey King Bar, but Daedalus is better right now, I think, because you can proc on Geminate, so you can crit with it. Hex does give us some much needed lockdown though, and we end up going for top at this point. I end up selling my bottle and saying, okay, I shouldn't have had bottle there. I should have had a TP. If I had a TP, I could have defended Rax better. But you know, the real issue watching the replay now is that I just simply should have, instead of farming that large camp, I should have gone mid and attacked Anti-Mage and made him have to leave. By being greedy there, I let Anti-Mage do whatever he wanted despite his entire team being dead. If I simply just went mid, pushed Anti-Mage away and kept pushing and then shifted back top to push again, I think I would have saved at least like one tower, at least. I was trying to figure out whether or not I needed to go over there and help out. And instead I opted to hit creeps, basically. PL's basically just owning the top lane. And in the meantime, they're actually Rexing us bot, and I didn't even notice this until about here, maybe. I was like, oh, we're winning. The game is over. 3 dead heroes. Hit the mid Rax, and I was like, holy shit, our Rax is gone. There's the Hex in action, basically. Kill the Anti-Mage, Prophet buys back, we defend the mid-Rax, but all of a sudden it was like, wait, we were shitting on them, and they went equal Rax with us, and we're up 32-11. That was crazy. I was like, my god, what is happening? So at this point I was like, okay, I think I just need HP maybe? I don't even remember what I bought at this point. I still think Daedalus is probably the way to go. Especially because I want Sheep, which is not a damage item, it's a disable item. So I probably need to go even harder into damage here. And also my survivability in some ways is better now because I can use offensively a Hex. It's kind of like Magic Immunity for 3.5 seconds, right? So I think DPS was the right choice here. Especially because I'm not my team's only damage, there's a PL as well. So I could get away with maybe not being as survivable. You could make the same argument for maybe some other things, but wanted to kill the Prophet here, but I think he ended up backing up. Didn't anticipate the gave him the Hex, which we stacked with the lasso, but that was his buyback, so that was pretty good. If you look on the map, they're actually roaching, but we couldn't see that. That was just us not paying attention to that, which gives them another Anti-Mage Aegis. Looks like it's Anti-Mage and Sven doing that. Probably a good pair to do it. Vlad's has picked up, so they both have lifesteal, they've got armor, he can Warcry for further armor. They grabbed the Aegis, but I was like, I mean, that sucks. Like, we probably shouldn't have let them take any Aegises here, but here they are with Aegises. A little bit of bug there. Hex on the Warlock, which I think was probably better off being the Anti-Mage. He just kind of let us kill him. I think I should have time-lapsed there for 600 gold, or 600 HP. He ends up getting away. Probably should have been punched, but didn't really matter. We weren't going to get the kill anyways, I don't think. Kind of had to time-lapse here because I was getting low. And again, kind of the same thing. If I had time-lapsed before, I would have been at a much higher HP point. Ended up hexing the Anti-Mage. But unfortunately, I wasn't quite within DPS range of him. Did grab a gem at least. Fortunately, I wasn't able to Sukuchi. The Blinkstone guaranteed the kill. But look how much I lost, you know? Like, I could have... If I would have time-lapsed at 600 damage against the Anti-Mage, then I would have had full HP, and my time-lapse would have been on cooldown. A little badly timed on the doppelgang, unfortunately for him. That's our PL dying twice in a row. We also got mid-rexed
Radiant's middle barracks.
by the Prophet, and I was starting, and this is the point where you're like, shit, we are owning these guys, but they're split pushing the shit out of us, and we're not team fighting correctly. So my time-lapse mistake was actually really big because it led to me not being able to be as aggressive in the next fight, and then I ended up time-lapsing a cooldown, which probably did 300 damage or something terrible. And my time-lapse would have been on cooldown earlier, which meant that by the time I was actually in trouble with the Sven, maybe it would have been off cooldown, because it's only 40 seconds at level 3. So those are the two major mistakes that I made in that fight. I still think the Hex was okay here, but the biggest issue pretty much comes down to not defending the split push. And like, think about how often you guys play games where you're just getting wrecked. Like, look what the anti-mage did. He's like, oh, we just lost a team fight, we're losing. I'm going to go mid and push while their team's all pushing top and see if I can get some towers. And we made the mistake of not going back and defending against it. I didn't go defend, no one else on my team defended. And this is an unranked game, but this was a very high MMR unranked game, I promise you, because everybody in this game felt pretty darn good. This probably was at least like a 4K average game, I would assume. But more likely more like 4.5, at least. I think it was a very high MMR game, relatively, for ranked. So, if you just, like, your opponents can't make mistakes unless you force mistakes, basically, is what happens. You need to do something aggressive to get your opponents to react poorly, basically. If you just play standard and you play safe in your guys' unranked pubs, then you're never going to get to a point where your opponents, like, end up not TPing back or blah, blah, blah. You know, it's really important. Here I said I needed more HP because I'm not able to outlast the battles very well, so I bought a Reaver, and I think this is a really big mistake. This still should have been a damage item. I kind of wanted to buy something like a Scotty that was like hybrid damage HP, but Scotty doesn't stack with Desolator, so you absolutely can't get it. And as a whole, you can't get sheep and then be like, I'm going to get a heart afterwards, because then you're like, oh, all I have is a Desolator, you know? That's really stupid. So if I bought the sheep, I should have just ended up buying damage items, and I didn't think about that until afterwards. This is a bit of a mistake here. I think I should have sat outside of range. This is obvious they're going on me now. He cancelled, so I thought that it was going to be fine. And then I ran into his Necros. Good sprout from him. I thought TP, and then I realized he was going to cancel that. This is the dumbest thing I did all game, though, is I didn't time-lapse. If you run left like that, and he sprouts you in, what you do is you time-lapse, which sends you back to where you were, which would have sent me to the right, and then I could have Sakuchi'd and ran right as fast as possible, because there's no way that the Prophet could have caught up to me, because he had already TP'd and he had already summoned his Necro. So if I wouldn't have died there, it would have made a big difference. And now a team fight happens mid, and he's able to TP to it. Our PL is doing his best, but with Anti-Mage there, he ended up... Did he get Hex? I don't know if he got Hex. But he can't fight 4 heroes by himself, and he ends up dying. And I should have been alive for that. So we lost 3 heroes there. Bat Rider was off jungling, it looks like. Not a good fight. And at this point, the game is over. Can you guys believe that? I lost this game. 35-20. I did a bad laning stage. PL was godlike. I misplayed a couple team fights, but most importantly, I let Anti-Mage push 2.5 towers on me for nothing. In exchange for, what, a tier 3 tower and a tier 2 tower when he had a huge advantage. Like, that's the point. If you have a huge advantage, you shouldn't let your opponents get anything back. You should continue getting advantages. Let your opponents farm creeps, but don't let them take towers. Because tactical, like, the gold that you get out of towers is huge. Like, all of his team was dead, but they got, like, 3 towers. They gained, like, 600 gold while they were dead or something like that. Isn't that crazy? And we let them do it. It wasn't worth it for the early racks. It would have been better off to go for something else. Also changing targets here, which I think was a bit of a mistake. Get the time-lapse off. Almost die. Really almost die this time. I'm going to go invis just in case. Actually, I have no idea whose Zeus it is, but it saved them. And I also didn't kill the Nature's Prophet. So at this point, we're basically in a position where we're trying to do our best to defend, but I kind of knew already that the game was very likely lost here. We got mega creep. It's 38-22 and we were losing. Like, we lost all of our tier 4 towers at this point. So at this point, you kind of have to defend as hard as you can. I really was unhappy about my items at this point. I still think the Hex was okay, but I should have had it. I basically just needed to defend. I guess the items were kind of irrelevant. I feel like the items were irrelevant because we were winning the team fights. What we needed to do was tactically defend towers and things like that. So I basically need to push as fast as I can. And one of the good ways to do this is Desolator. Vlad's works as well. Maybe it would have been the better option. But Maelstrom is a good way just to push really fast. On the times that it does proc Maelstrom, by the way, it will not proc Desolator, so you have to be aware of that. But usually that's not a big deal because you'll proc Desolator one of the times, so not a huge issue.
Radiant's Ancient is under attack.
So just push in, basically. He actually does have a Vlad, so I don't really need one. You can get Vlads on range now. It only works for 10% of the lifesteal, rather than like 15, but it's okay. If I had either a Heart or a Maelstrom, this would be good. But I had neither. Definitely not happy to have a 3,000 gold Reaver in my inventory, though. That did very little. That could have been a Rod of Atos or something, you know? That gives you almost as much HP. Not that that wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good at all, but... I bought the Gloves of Haste, by the way, for pushing, in case you were wondering. And I'm just going to speed this up a little bit because I lost, and spoiled that for you guys already. Basically sit in base, keep my HP full, grab TPs, I'm running to the mid lane. So basically, this is our only chances basically to push. Seeing on the back is okay, because I can actually push the creep wave pretty decently fast with the Desolator, but it's not quite enough to keep the creep waves alive, unfortunately. It seemed like there was going to be a fight bot. His ultimate just hit everybody there. That was really good. And that is the game. So, major mistakes. Defend against split push. Don't let Prophet hit your towers for free. When all he has is a Necro 3. He doesn't have... Like, he's not going to kill you, you know? Like, he's only going to kill you if you let him do it all game, and it gets to the point where he actually does have good damage items. If you defend it solely throughout the game, then you will still have towers up when you end up doing that push, and they can't just immediately backdoor you, you know? It's like, it's a slow thing, like it builds up over the course of the game. And this game was really painful to lose, but luckily it was on rank, so I didn't lose any MMR, but still very painful. Like, definitely very painful to play. I think that's how it goes. But I hope you guys learn from it. It all comes down to not defending against that anti-mage split push. Split push is the worst thing to lose to, but it is a legitimate strategy that needs to exist in the game due to the fact that 5 manning would be prevalent if split pushing was impossible. So split push will always be relevant. Make sure you defend against it, and that's about how you play Weaver. Feel free to adjust your item builds, but basically just lots of stats, Desolator, maybe a bottle, probably a bottle in almost all games because I feel like he can really leverage bottle well in team fights and stuff. Bottle, invis, runaway, stuff like that. A couple other tricks I never really pointed out. You can teleport and then use Sakuchi. Sakuchi is an invis move like Shadow Walk, so you can make yourself invisible while you teleport out. I didn't do that one time against the Prophet, but it didn't matter because he had True Sight anyways, so that was irrelevant. But any other times that you're worried about dying, just invis and TP and you will make it out, assuming they don't have an AoE stun. So that's about it. Desolator into other damage items is almost always the right choice. I think that was an okay item day for... I think that was an okay sheep game, but... because we had almost no other stuns on our team, but in most cases you will just go damage. You'll go like Desolator into Heart or Desolator into Daedalus or MKB, one of those two items. So that's it for Weaver. Thanks for watching, guys. Final score screen if you guys do want to see that. I didn't realize I have to click through this crap and replays as well, but you do apparently. And my GPM was 462. We had really high GPM across the team, but of course we ended up losing because PL and me through, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We all had good items. Just that Yule's on Prophet that one time. This was one of these bastards. I think it was Undying, maybe. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. See you tomorrow. By the way, probably not streaming today. Alright, see you tomorrow. Bye.